Okay, I'm following up on what I did on the Super Beetle in the last video, and at that time it wasn't welded in place, it was just kind of stuffed in the hole and fitted. So this is where we are now. You can see the seam where I welded it, going across and cut it. There was some patches on the firewall that were getting pretty bad in the bottom too, so I replaced those. Again, on the driver side, more of the same. And on the end, get a good view of it. There we go. I just did the dog ears from here back because this part right here is about a 1/4 inch thick. It's not very pretty, but it's on there very well. It's very thick material, and to remove that I would have to destroy everything on top of it, and that's what I need to attach to. That's probably like 16-18 gauge, where this is 1/4 inch. That's thin stuff, you just couldn't separate it and be able to use it. So I sliced them right at the end. These were gone completely, and the floor pan's supposed to continue right on up into here. Again, that's kind of blown out too. Both bolts are rotted out, so I actually ground them flush with the top and then welded 2 studs to where the bolts were, and having them drop down because they just weren't coming out. I tried heating them and everything else. So that's what you got on that side. The other side, as you can see, I was able to get the bolts out, but I continued to do the same thing, cut the end off and just repaired what was left, and dug out all the spray foam. This whole thing was filled with spray foam all through here, so it's kind of a fire hazard when you're trying to weld it. But we got it all together, and apparently the car's here the next day, so it didn't burn up over the course of the night, so that's a good sign. Alright, go take a peek up top. There's a, give you a view of the whole frame head. How's that? There's a whole piece replaced. It's all bolted back in. There was alignment points. I took measurements off the front points there, and on the other side back to another point, and marked them at 24 inches on the body, so I knew exactly where it needed to be, and I also marked it left to right. So that's how I kept it center. And then up top, you can see, let me hang the light. You can see that more of the repair that was all done, and you can see with all the seam sealers kind of covering everything. I like to take the seam sealer, take thinner to it. Start over again. I like to take thinner to the body. After I'm done doing all the welding, I take thinner in a rag and I wipe it all down and let that evaporate. That cleans everything out of there. Mostly moisture-wise is what you're concerned about. See more around the master cylinder. Yeah, well, you can see that. But basically that whole piece under there is all done. See all the way across. So, as I was saying about the thinner, that gets rid of all the moisture, and then I like to take the seam sealer, put the seam sealer right over the welds. It blocks any air and moisture from getting to it, and it stops it from rusting. I found it works better than paint, any kind of other kind of stuff you want to put on it. Again, you still paint over the top of it, but I find that holds up really well. The other thing you can do, I don't like doing it on the outside, but on the inside, I spray oil on the inside of the frame rails. Like, I probably access this hole right through here with a hose with like spray grease. Just spray the shit all over the place, everywhere you can get to. Wherever other holes, there's more holes here, you can kind of hit it from different directions. Just fill the whole thing with oil. Just like an oily car, you know, that had a bad oil leak. There's only old cars that live in New England still, because they stopped from rusting just from the spray of oil going on the metal. So I find it works well on this stuff too. So the access is cleaned up around the edges. I ground it so that when I go to weld it back in, there's no paint to stop me. There's the piece that I took out. Little fudge of legend. And take one of those military tests. It's a pick up round hole. But in any event, that's going to go in something like that, and we're going to weld all around that and seam seal that also. So that's where I am right now. I'll probably do one more of the car all done, put together. I'm just waiting on a couple of bushings. Yeah, we can go look at some. There's the piece that I cut out of the frame head. See how rotted it is. If you look at the other side, see where it's all scaly rust. It's really thin. You tap on that, it's like got that hollow sound to it that you know it's pretty much paper thin. And, that's the ends that I cut off of that thing. You can see how much metal's in there to try to remove it from a piece of 18 gauge, which is, you know, what's that, 62,000, something like that. I'm sure somebody will correct me if I'm wrong. And this is out of the whole piece. That's what's left that I didn't use. This really isn't that much, but that's the part with the body sitting right on it that you'd have to remove the body to get to it. Again, thanks for watching.